Uh, Great morning. Looking back on the weekend, just thought it was a big time challenge and opportunity for us, playing back-to-back days. Two different places, two different time zones, and thought our kids, our team and staff, answered the bell on that. It's just some massive big time numbers that some of our players did. I think Mimi averaging 7.5 kills per set, hitting over 350. I mean, I don't know. There's not been too many times I've seen somebody put those types of weekend numbers. Carter Booth averaging 2.5 kills per set and hitting over 450 and over 2 blocks per set. I mean, that's a huge week. And Una hitting over 500 on about 3.5 kills per set, I think is just that was probably her best weekend of the year. In fact, our team was over 4 blocks per set. Those are just some really big time numbers that our players put out there. I think the fact that we had 3 sets that went the distance were decided within 2 points, 2 of them going way past 25. Just love seeing how we were able to finish sets and with our backs against the wall. So it's I thought and then individually a couple other things I thought that jumped out to me. Nia Warren coming in the second set against Michigan State and really giving us a lift and at that position, and it was just really fantastic to see. It was kind of a tough start to the match for Kristen Simon, and then how she responded the next day. Showed a lot of her heart and her character and her toughness of being able to have the match that she did at Illinois and putting up some massive numbers, passing numbers, because they tested her right out of the gate, which we knew they would. The thing that probably surprised me a little bit as well, she was passing, is to continue to do that through that entire match. And she just she had us in system almost the entire night when she was touching the ball. So really proud of her for that. And then this week we've got big time week this week. Top 10 Purdue on Wednesday, and 2 teams that I think that are tied for second place in the conference, both of them trying to, finish at that spot, and, an opportunity to kind of fill your resume out a little bit, and going into the NCAA tournament, and then senior night on Sunday against a very good and much improved Iowa team. So certainly looking forward to the week that we have in front of us. You got, we're coming down the stretch where we've got 4 regular season matches, 1 guaranteed NCAA tournament match, so that's 5 guaranteed. I think we've got 8 practices in front of us, so there's not a lot of opportunities in front of us, but I think we're starting to put together our best ball of the season.
So, John?
You were mentioning Mimi's kind of massive numbers this weekend. Certainly a candidate for a lot of national awards. What would you say is kind of her case for National Player of the Year consideration?
Mimi?
Yeah.
Excuse me. Those numbers this week really has me choked up. I have not studied what other people are doing. I'm sure there's been a lot of people that have done that. And I haven't. So I think when you're talking about something like that, what other people are doing comes in the equation. I think a lot of what comes in the equation is what do you do in the postseason. I mean, I don't remember the last time that somebody was a National Player of the Year that did not make the Final Four. It's really rare, and that should certainly enter the equation. So, I've seen what some of the numbers have been for other players that have won that award, and and the season that Mimi is putting together with 2 different setters has been superior than a lot of seasons that people have done it. Whether she gets that or not, who knows? But she is putting together a season that would be it would be worthy, right? And so that's probably what I would say.
Going off with John with Mimi, but offensively, her kills per set right now would break school record no matter which era. I think it's probably since the program officially began. Just from looking at the offensive side of her game, just what has she how has she grown from when you first got her, here on campus to where she's at now?
Yeah. We've had other players that were, Sharisa Livingston. I mean, those were big time numbers that she was putting in. I know Molly Haggerty's freshman year was pretty gnarly, and Dana Redke, the number she also put up as a middle. That's what's ridiculous is Dana and Sharisa out of the middle position putting those numbers in. Obviously, Sarah Franklin and the numbers that she put in those last couple years were pretty good. We're setting Mimi 6 rotations differently than what any of those guys did. The middles, obviously, you're not setting them 6 rotations. And Sarah, although she was, and Molly, both of them were able to hit out of the back row, the number of attempts that Mimi takes out of the back row and her hitting percentage out of the back row, way north of 300, is something we just haven't had anybody even near that. There's no breath that you're not doing a sigh of relief when Mimi gets in the back row because you're not able to feed the beast, if you will. We're able to do that for 6 rotations, and that's what makes her kind of unique and a unicorn to the other players that we've had here.
John?
Obviously an interesting match for John coming up. Kind of how do you sum up kind of the impact that he's made since you've added him to staff, and kind of what was it that kind of about his skill set, obviously somebody you've known for a very long time, made him such an appealing choice for the staff?
Yeah, I've known John for a long time, but, it's not about, I don't go out and, on somebody's resume. It isn't here a friend of mine or a childhood buddy of mine that needs to be a prerequisite for that. I'm actually less likely to hire somebody under those circumstances than more hire. I just think he's one of the best trainers in our sport, and he has been for decades. And I know his character and how he communicates with players. He's been able to do it with the youngest of young players. I've seen him around 10, 12, 14-year-olds. I've seen him around professionals. I was in the gym when he was with the Indy Ignite and saw him, how he communicated and worked with those players, some of them that were former Badgers, and how much they appreciated him. And, he was at Purdue for 20 years. That's unusual for him. I can't recall somebody in this situation of going back and not only coach. I mean, certainly we've all seen people that have coached against their former teams. Our football team's going to have one of those this weekend, right? But to go back and coach against players that you coach, oh yeah, your brother is the head coach. That's kind of a unique situation emotionally, and his daughter is on the team, right? I mean, cow. That was supposed to be a holy cow, but only the cow came out. So it's unusual, but I know I'm certainly happy to have him be here. I got a really nice text from his brother Dave a couple days ago. Just I personally I think about 70% of his text of saying thanks and how appreciative he was that John was here was genuine. I think 30% was he thinks he can soften me up before this match, which he's totally wrong on that front. But Dave there's been a lot of great coaching jobs done this year in the Big Ten There's been a lot of them. I think what Danny's done in Nebraska has been really, really impressive, a lot harder than what people think that would be. I think Steve Ayard at Indiana has done an amazing job. I think Brad Keller at USC, I mean, that's been a heck of a coaching job. He also lost some players, a couple starters there. And I think Trent at Oregon had one player on the roster when he walked in. One player as a walk-on. He had to build up an entire team. I think what he's done, and then going and beating Purdue this past weekend. But Dave Shondell up there at Purdue, having his two best players decide to transfer out and having no whiff of that was even a possibility, and kind of picking himself up, dusting himself off, and in the position that he is right there. I think that's one of the great jobs that we've seen in the Big Ten.
Hey, Coach. Carter Booth seems to be playing some of her best ball this season here on both the offensive and defensive sides of the net. So as one of the few players on the roster with postseason experience here at Wisconsin, how critical will her play and leadership be here down the stretch?
I mean, we need her to be that. We need her to be not just, like you said, offensively and defensively, but also leadership and, be an example of how to manage your time, there's a book that I used to read in my team. I think I got this, from Pat Riley, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe it was somebody else. But The Precious Present. I don't know if anybody's read that. But she's got to be aware of the precious moments and staying in the moment and being a leader for everybody else for those moments. So we're able to maximize those. She's been through this at the level that we're trying to get to, and her playing her best ball. I think with most of the hitters, it's about the connection, her and Charlie. You can tell Charlie's really, really leaning on her and going to her quite a bit, as she should. And she's playing at a higher level than she ever has in her entire career, and that's what you hope for everybody at the end.
Any last questions?
To be at this point in the season, 20-4, with how many new pieces you have, to have 2 returning starters for a good chunk of the season, 1 returning starter with Charlie being out, kind of, what does it say about this group and that, they've been able to come together and be at this point in this point of the year?
I don't think it gets talked about enough. I think the job that I just mentioned head coaches, but that's because I don't know any of their staffs at these other schools. I can speak for the staff here. I can speak for the players here. You're right. We talked about Sarah Franklin. We also lost Yuli Orzol and Devin Robinson and Caroline Crawford and Anna Smrek, and then almost all of our backcourt. That is a massive, massive chunk of people. And with Charlie's setting, now she missed quite a few matches, but with Charlie's setting, we've lost 1 set since the opening weekend of the season. I mean, that is a real tribute to, number one, to our players, but everybody on the staff that is helping these guys in that transition from one season to the next is really difficult no matter what happens. But we lost a lot of people that had a lot of experience, and for all these guys to come in there and be playing the way that they are right now, it brings a lot of joy, not just the winning, but really what brings the joy together is when you bring people together and they're working for a common cause, and other people stepping up. I mean, I started this with talking about the stepping up of a freshman libero, right, that came in there at Michigan State when we really needed her. People coming together and being selfless. I'm enjoying this season as much as any season I've ever had. Now, that would. If any of my players are hearing this, they'd probably be surprised because I gave them a big-time lip sandwich this weekend. But I'm really, really enjoying this group a lot. There's just a joy. There's a camaraderie. And they take coaching really, really well, and you can see the improvement.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, guys.